all you cool cats and kitties out there. Remember that? Ooh, old lockdown days. Let's not think about those. It's time for another house rundown. Who's in the house? Dr. Magnificent, that's who's in the house. And welcome to my house. This is the Nashville Nose, my dear, sweet, loving, adoring, faithful, loyal nostrils. Haha. I have been having so much fun diving into certain fragrance brands, researching about their history, and ranking my favorites from their releases in my collection. And one of the most prestigious perfume houses, right from the fragrance heartland, France, we're talking about the house of Guerlain. And Guerlain is one of the oldest perfume houses in the world. Founded in Paris in 1828 by perfumer Pierre-François Pascal Guerlain. And I'm probably butchering his name completely. My apologies if that's the case. I am what you call, how do you say, not French. Pierre opened up his first store while in his 30s with the help of his two sons, Ami and Gabriel. After creating fragrances for Napoleon III, Pierre earned the prestigious title of being His Majesty's official perfumer. It's official. After his death, his two sons then took over the company. Ami Guerlain, as master perfumer, went on to create some of their most classic scents, including one which many claim his greatest composition, the 1889 release Jiki, which is credited as the oldest continuously produced perfume in the world. Meanwhile, Gabriel took a more managerial position, helping to expand the family brand, which was then left to his sons, Jacques and Pierre. Jacques then composing even more esteemed perfumes, including the brand's flagship product, Shalimar, released in 1921, also still in production today. The fourth generation, Jean-Paul Guerlain, was the last family master perfumer, responsible for many modern classic releases like Habit Rouge and Vetiver, still great sellers even well over 50 years later. Guerlain remained a family business passed down from generation to generation for over 150 years, until fast forward to 1984, when it was bought by the French multinational company LVMH. Fast forward another 30 years past that, and the L'Homme Ideal line was launched, with the original Eau De Toilette, created by legendary perfumer Thierry Vasser, and marketed under the slogan, "While the ideal man is a myth, his fragrance is not." Sounds pretty accurate. And that's where this list comes in today. This is strictly just gonna be a buying guide for the entire L'Homme Ideal line. I've done the impossible task of attempting to rank them from least to most favorite, so let's just get into it. The doctor is now in. So in last place for the Guerlain L'Homme Ideal line, I'm putting Sport right here. Cause let's face it, this is the token phoned in cash grab. At least it seems like that compared to the others. Still good though. I feel like every time a line does a sports flanker, it feels like it's just something that they just whipped together and threw out just for the hell of it. Like, hey, here's your sports flanker, there you go. We made our quota. With the exception of a few like Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme, that's a good sports scent. But hey, don't get me wrong, I'm not throwing this guy under the bus. I do consider this a huge step above a lot of other sport cheapies in the market. I've smelled some synthetic disasters, especially at this price range. So while this may be the most whatever release out of the entire line, it still has traces of that original L'Homme Ideal DNA, with the obvious one being, of course, that world famous note of almond, giving it a little bit of that sweet, creamy roundness in there. This one also has water notes, neroli, a touch of some earthy vetiver, but then patchouli, coumarin, and spices help to, spice it up, for lack of a better term. The only reason that I got this was for the sole purpose of making this buying guide, and to have them all. Of course, this is a fragrance line that's near and dear to my heart, but I'm really glad that I got it. Honestly, it's pretty good. Let's test it out real quick. Yeah, it's nothing special, but I've smelled worse. And at the price that they're asking for this, it was no trouble at all. Glad I have it, even though I rarely ever wear it, because I'm just not a big sport fragrance kind of guy in general. But if you are, it's one of the better ones out there and at one of the best price points. One worth checking out if this is your kind of thing. Next, we make the giant leap to Cool. I mentioned this one in my Summer Nights video. Unfortunately, it's discontinued and getting harder and harder to find, but you may still be able to find it pretty easy from a reputable seller on eBay. I like this one and I love wearing it, but if for some reason I didn't have it anymore, like if the bottle broke or something, I wouldn't be too heartbroken, mostly just due to its performance. As much as I love this entire line, they're not beasts whatsoever. But compared to some of the other ones in this line, it's on the weaker side. The scent is so nice though. It smells like quality and class to me. I'm gonna spray this on the other side. Almost seems like it's bordering on this leafy green tobacco-like scent, as if it's like a higher quality Versace Dreamer, but there's no tobacco note listed. Instead, I believe patchouli, vetiver, and the prominent note of mint may be what gives it that earthy, leafy feel. I mean, the mint at least seems to be the inspiration for the name, along with bergamot, orange, anise, water notes, neroli, and ambroxan. Some have claimed this to have a Listerine-type feel, which I honestly don't pick up on. I think it's a rather great example of how mint can be used in a fragrance. It's a great blend. I have no idea why it was discontinued. Most likely due to sales and numbers. They are a company after all. I get it. It's a shame it's gone, but to be completely blunt with you, both this one and Sport are like the two of the entire line that I can live without, but only strictly because I emotionally connect with the other ones just a little bit more. Doesn't mean they ain't great on their own, because they definitely are. I'm kind of sad to put the cologne this low on the rank, because it's one of the best fresh summer cologne style fragrances I've ever smelled. I only wish it had better performance. It disappears fairly rapidly, at least on my skin, but that's not unexpected with most light freshies, especially ones which don't smell like they're loaded with a bunch of synthetic ingredients. Cause sure, add a bunch of loud, screechy aroma chemicals, you could make this one a beast easily, but that would severely take away the luster of this delicate formulation. It's beautiful and it smells so good to where I don't even care if it doesn't perform. I just have to make sure I really double and triple up on the sprays in order to make it project. And of course, you can always bring a little travel decant with you and reapply every 45 minutes, and you will have to. Nonetheless, I love this scent. I love the perfect balance of citruses. We have grapefruit, orange, and bergamot up top, pink pepper and neroli adding even more brightness, some vetiver and white musk to give it some subtle sexy earthiness, all wrapped up in that sweet creamy almond note, just giving the whole blend a nice hug. This also is very much discontinued, which is a bit shocking considering how amazing it smells. So, final thoughts on L'Homme Ideal Cologne. If you don't mind the fact that it performs like a lightweight, and you may be paying a bit of a premium for supply and demand, to me personally, the scent alone is worth it. It may possibly be the GOAT of the fresh cologne genre. Pounce on this one if you can find it at a decent price, because it's only gonna continue to get harder to find. Now that we're in the top 4, we're tapping into some of the fragrances which really got me into this line in the first place. And respectfully, I'm gonna put the original Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau De Toilette right here. The one that started it all. I love how incredibly left field this damn fragrance is, for simultaneously being so damn easy and wearable. This may be the best example of how an almond note can counteract so perfectly with leather. It's not a leather dominant fragrance whatsoever. It's much more subtle and kind of more of a sharp and clean leather, like a leather accord you would find in a fougere. Although this is not a fougere either. You follow me? It's a fougere-like leather accord, but not a fougere fragrance. Also not a leather fragrance. It's hard to describe, but it's great. I love it. I love this fragrance. It's light and bright with bitter orange, orange blossom, and cedar. The vetiver and rosemary give it a nice masculine herbal twist, and tonka bean rounds it out really nicely, especially in the dry down. It's light, fresh, smooth, slightly sweet, also slightly rugged, but still incredibly gender neutral in my opinion. This scent brings me back to some of the first music performances I had with my band post-COVID lockdown. We were all somewhat optimistic at the time, while also remaining incredibly unsure of the future. We still kind of feel that way. My relationship with my girl was surviving the pandemic, even though we kind of just started dating, then immediately having to quarantine together when it all started. That was fun. Hi, nice to meet you. We're gonna be spending a lot of time together. Hey, it worked out though. So this will always remind me of that time. Oddly enough, the only reason that I was wearing this so much at that time was because I was doing a lot of fly dates, and this fragrance came with this little 10 milliliter travel atomizer. So I would just throw this in my backpack, and this was kind of my go-to fragrance for when I was traveling. So now every time I smell it, it just takes me back. Oh, we had so much hope, didn't we? Well, I'm still not giving up hope. Thank God for fragrance. It is a powerful thing that can help us get through hard times. Just another art form that stimulates the brain and helps you kind of forget about the world for a moment. It's therapeutic, damn it, and I will always advocate for that. But of course, personal feelings aside, it is just a perfect, beautiful, versatile scent. Great in the springtime. It's a perfect balance between fresh, sweet, and rugged. Likable and unique. I can see how this fragrance generated so many flankers. And I'm going to give the slightest edge to this flanker right here. This one is called Extreme. And it's a fitting name. It was a tough call for my number 3 spot between this one and the original, but Extreme ended up cracking the top 3, winning by a hair, due to my favorite note added to the composition. What's my favorite note? Do you know it? If you've been following me, you probably already know. Remember back when I was talking about cool and how I sensed kind of a little bit of a green leafy tobacco accord in there? How did that go again?
Almost seems like it's bordering on this leafy green tobacco-like scent.
Oh yes, that's right. Remember that? It feels like it was only a couple minutes ago. Extreme, on the other hand, actually does have a tobacco note listed. So I was so excited about this one. But not the green leafy kind. Instead, my personal favorite, the robust kind. The tobacco note itself in this composition does kind of remind me a little bit of the tobacco note in Dolce & Gabbana's The One EDP. But of course, The One is much more mainstream and designery smelling. The tobacco in the Guerlain, however, interacts so well with the almond, making it sweet and aromatic. The rest of the blend is just fantastic, with pink pepper, bergamot, plum, cinnamon, heliotrope, leather, patchouli, and cedar. Plum being the most interesting addition to this scent blend, I think. Still, the original scent DNA holds true. And I believe this is the perfect scent for those wanting to dabble into tobacco fragrances, but don't want to smell smoky or ashy. It's still a really easy wear. Performance is really good too, and although this is sadly and shockingly discontinued, it's still in pretty well circulation on the discounters. It's not too hard to find. If you love tobacco fragrances as much as I do, and you also like things like Dolce & Gabbana's The One, then this is a no-brainer. I think this is a great one to have in your collection. I say get it now before it disappears forever. It just might. But edging above it ever so slightly, I have to put the one which started it all for me. The first one I actually purchased from this line, I blind bought it due to all the online hype, and it was truly love at first sniff. It's the Eau de Parfum. Oh, good Lord. Oh, yes, please, more. Thank you. I can't get enough of this one. It is just so mind-blowingly gorgeous. So elegant. The addition of cherry and vanilla to the almond, tonka bean, and sandalwood is just a sweet, sweet marriage made in heaven. But then the spices, lavender, bergamot, rosemary, thyme, incense, Bulgarian rose, and one of the most beautiful leather notes ever used in fragrance balance this blend so perfectly. It never gets too sweet, it never gets too rugged. I think this is absolutely the most androgynous out of the whole line, and one of my signature scents to wear when it's colder out. Mostly fall and early winter before it gets too cold. It's not crazy strong on performance, but it's no slouch at all. Like, it works. I mean, I like to bust out my super dense, dark, and deep fragrances when it's freezing cold, but this one just can't help but put you in a great mood, especially in the cooler seasons. One of the most successful blind buys of my fragrance journey. The one which made me fall in love with this whole line, and one I thought would have taken first place in this list. But the fragrance that I'm putting at number 1 today, honestly, I think just excites me the most, to put it plainly. Bearing in mind, just like all ranked lists, my opinion does change often. But in this current moment, I don't think I have a choice. I have to go with L'Intense. Never thought something could top the grace and sophistication of the EDP, but this one uses a really unusual note, which I find is the element which makes this one really stand out from the rest. Although tobacco may be my favorite fragrance note, this one uses the addition of chili pepper. You could say a red hot chili pepper. Slap it a bass, flea! Give it a spray, give it a spray, give it a spray now! Oh yeah. Yes, chili pepper and cardamom add this intoxicating spice to the almond, along with patchouli, Bulgarian rose, labdanum, leather, and smoke notes. To me, it's definitely the darkest and boldest out of the line. Also, some limited editions come with an all black bottle. I kinda wish I had that. That would have been cool. In fact, that was one of the selling points on this fragrance in the beginning. I saw the all black bottle, I was like, oh my God, that is so sleek. In fact, I'll show it to you right here. Someday I may have to hunt down one of those. Oh well, it's fine. It's all about the juice anyway. But then they add just the perfect amount of tonka bean, vanilla, and sandalwood, sweetening it up, making it oh so perfect in every imperfect way. Oh, it's so good. I love it. It just speaks to me. It's somehow so very safe and unsafe at the same time. It's just perfumery perfection in my opinion, which I can say about the whole line. I mean, that's what makes ranking them so difficult. But just remember, if I didn't love them, I wouldn't have them all. And there you have it, the most ideal buying guide for one of the most iconic fragrance lines made by one of the most legendary perfume houses. But I want to hear your opinion on these. Leave them in the comments. I'm curious about which ones of these you really like, and also, I'd like to know how you would rank them. Cause it's not just a fragrance channel, it's a big old happy family of a community. Aww. Also, don't forget to subscribe because I plan on doing much more of these buying guides for different fragrance lines. I've already got a ton of great suggestions from you in the comments. Keep those ideas coming. And help us out over here by simply giving us a like and hitting that bell so the algorithm gods can help this channel reign for as long as Guerlain. I mean, one can only hope. Till the next one, see ya, my nostrils. The doctor is out. I'm out.